Welcome to the InStory show. I'm Devorah Spilman, your host, and our theme is what does it mean to expand into a new story? And how do you come out of hiding and dare to be seen for who you really are by saying yes to your soul and telling your story? And today I'm thrilled to welcome Shiloh Sophia. Hi, Shiloh.
Hello. Hi, everyone. So good to be with you today.
So I'm going to read a little bit about her and then we will dive in. So, Curate Shiloh Sophia is the matriarchal founder of MUSEA, Center for International Creativity and Consciousness. We are home to an intergenerational and multicultural collective of emerging and experienced creatives, healers, and leaders. Our lineage, beginning in the 1930s, is the framework for our path of practice in the intentional arts of every medium. Our vision is awakening consciousness through self-expression so that we may become collaborative stewards with all of creation. All right, we're going to learn more about what all of this is. But Sophia, start where everybody starts, which is what does expanding into a new story mean to you?
Well, I believe that we get to curate our consciousness,
Mm.
and that most of us, until we have whatever our wake up moment is, are navigating what I call a default self. And that default self has a set of default patterns and stories. And those are mostly what are handed to us by family, culture, spiritual path. And they're so old that it seems like it's us. So it sort of collapses into personality. But really, we've barely begun to shape what's possible when we move from personality into identity. So for me, that story arc means that I get to choose not to work with just what I've been given, but what I'm called to.
I want you to say something more about that. What do you mean? Say more about what you mean about that last sentence, not just what you're called to. Just go in a little more detail in what you just said.
Yeah. So there's like the prescriptions and the archetypes and the existing myths and the patterns, and we're continually responding into them until we kind of get conscious about, wait, I don't really belong in that archetype, or I really am not duplicating that story, or no, I'm not going to go for that narrative or that projection. And once we decide we're not going to go for the story that's unfolding, albeit somewhat organically, but it's a story in reaction to circumstance. So there's this choice point where you decide you're going to be the author of not just the main character in a story that's unfolding, but actually the author of the entire story.
Ooh, love that. Okay, so good. All right, so now you have to tell us a story. Like, I would love, I always like to ask everybody about turning point moments. And for people who, like you, have been doing this creative work your whole life, the turning point moments are different, but they're still there because otherwise we quit. And we don't quit,
Yeah.
right? We
Yeah.
don't quit, but it's not because it doesn't get hard sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll share a current story, which is that, I, for over 30 years, I've been co-stewarding a community with many other women leaders. And I used to be, an artist. Like, I sold my paintings, I had galleries, I represented other artists. And I made a decision back in 2008 to see what would it be like to actually teach people my method of approaching creativity instead of actually selling my paintings only. I thought maybe the women were actually after their story and their image, not my story and my image.
Mm.
So that was a turning point moment, but fast forward now to now, right? So over 30 years later, I've just completed a body of work that took, 15 years to complete. And I needed for it to stop the way that it was. I needed for it to have the end of its cycle. I needed it to complete its ceremonial arc, which was basically training people in these different modalities. And what's happened is that I had this feeling that once I completed that something else would come. But I didn't know. So it was like the sensation of sort of like being willing to wait in the mystery. I mean, wait in the mystery, like all my income came from that other project, all my time, every single relationship, everything I've done, the building I steward, the brand I have, the name, every single thing is cued to the previous story coming to a completion. And so I had to be willing to complete it in a good way, which took like almost 2 years to do
Wow.
it well. And then it's finally like completing now, which is, sometimes sad how certain things, and now the new story is emerging. So what I want to emphasize is that sometimes the new story doesn't tell you about itself in advance. Sometimes it asks you to take a leap of faith. Sometimes you have to be willing to risk it in order to find something. And in a way, it's a little bit of a phoenix moment, because the phoenix is not the victim of the fire. She sets her own fire and dances on the ashes. So I'm in a bit of an ash dance at the moment.
Wow. And I think this happens in different ways. Like some people, it might be they've been a lawyer their whole life and they want to turn into being an artist. But sometimes it's not two separate creative, energetic flows. It's the shape.
Hmm, hmm.
It's the shape of it.
Yeah,
What you're describing is that there's a new, you're being called to a new form, but it hasn't formed itself quite yet.
yeah, yeah,
So, do you have hints? Like, does it feel like
yeah.
you, how do you talk a little bit about how did you know that you needed to end this and that something new was coming? Like, how did you know that?
I'm just going to be so honest here, and hopefully I don't cry, but if I do, that's okay
I
too.
love crying. It's okay.
Okay. Um, Being a leader or a teacher or a shamaness in today's cultural framework is rough. I think in other times I would have been considered a medicine person, and I am now. I carry a huge body of medicine. And in other times, those people were integrated into the culture. They weren't marketing a course. In other times, those people were, sought after for wisdom, not extracted from in a classic sense. So I feel like like many gifted healers and storytellers and guides, like there's still that old memory of like, wait a minute, isn't the community also going to take care of me? And or am I just taking care of the community? And like I get a ton of value out of it. Like I love my community. Like I love them. I never imagined I could feel this big of a feeling, right? It's the love of my life, I was just like, wow. And it's like what is needed by them and from me is so unacceptable to me at this point. And it's sort of a collective. It's not like one person that the healer guide be all things to all people. We don't have problems, we don't have financial challenges, we don't sell out sometimes to market the course, we don't place Facebook ads, and we certainly don't have negotiations about price. It's like this whole thing where people, coming from you, so like people want to uphold leaders into a lane. And then if we want to talk about something else or do something else, then we get judged. So I'm really just done with the projections, but also the responsibilities of, I've been running a university, and it's doing certifications. It's highly technical. It's highly accountable. It's reading people's work. It's showing up. It's printing the certificates. It's making sure everybody's taken care of and everyone does their work. Like, so the amount of labor that I had to do and finance was just like, I want to give this work, but I can't give it like this. And then add the corporate structures over everything, what it costs in time and money to sort of keep up, whether you want to or not, with technology and software as a service going up, like it's just, I'm like, that can't be my beautiful life, like the talking heads. It's like, wait a minute. And it's like a paradox, because I'll just say, I'm so in love with my community and what I'm doing, and how it ends up feeling in my body, in my time, in my resources is no longer how I want to feel. So it's a disruption. It's like, I'm finished. And I had to close out well because those women are still in my community and they're still part of my lineage. And I wanted to see where I would end up. So I do have some inklings about the next part of the story.
Right. What is so important about this is that it has nothing to do with how much you love the idea of what you offered, but why do you have to be the one to do every single thing? Because I think at some point you want to come back to,
Yeah,
I want to just teach, or I just want to make art. Like you want
exactly.
to do just the thing you do.
Yeah, yeah,
And so I don't know. I think at different stages, we realize something different is being asked of us.
yeah.
And
It's a different
like,
part of the story.
but it's very important, I think, for people to hear from someone like you who's been inside of your gift your whole life.
Yeah,
But just like someone who needs to leave corporate,
yeah,
you still need to leave corporate, kind of,
yeah, yeah,
right? You still need to leave the you been holding all of the business up,
yeah,
which is amazing that you did that.
yeah,
And we get to be like proud of ourselves for what we've done, right? Like even if
yeah.
you're ready to do
I am
something
definitely
else.
proud of myself and
Yeah,
my whole team and my whole community. I'm definitely proud. And
right.
I wish it was different because I feel like when we move from matriarchal culture to partnership model and then into patriarchal culture, which you could just call the dominant operating framework, these structures got put in place that just continue to assert themselves inside of our businesses, inside of our communities, inside of our relationships. And you kind of like dance with them for a while and then you're like, let me just get this straight. So I have this image I want to share with a quote, and I have to make 4 different images across 4 different platforms in order to get that image shared the right way, right? Like just that alone, right? Like that is nutballs, you know? I'm just like, come on, people, you know? So it's like, I also just don't want to play in the same way.
Right.
And I feel like it's so easy to go for it when you have community. So easy to just, you know, just keep conforming, like just keep jumping through more and more and more and more hoops. And I just, you know, I still want to teach. Like you said, I want to do the thing I absolutely want to do, but I don't want to do what has been required of me to run the kind of company that I have. Like in certain years, I provided literally $500,000 worth of jobs for women around the world. And I'm so joyful and proud of that. And also, I can't keep financing the revolution, you know, to the cost of my own self. And,
Right.
you
You
know,
get to pass the baton. Like it's a
yeah,
time to pass the leadership, certain
yeah,
realms of leadership on to the next person.
yeah,
And, you know,
exactly. I'm going to pass them this palette knife. And this is a palette knife that has a bone on the end of it that my matriarch made for me. So
wow.
when you said pass the baton, I was like, I'm passing the bone palette knife.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's interesting is you're passing the bone palette knife in terms of like this higher level leadership, but you're also going to just use it for what it's meant for, mixing paint.
Beautiful. Exactly.
Right? You're going to take its original purpose, which was just to mix pretty
Yeah.
paint and paint. And instead of painting the entire, like you raised it up to this giant order. So you're going to pass that and pull yourself, I think sometimes it's pulling ourselves back down into the essence of your gift.
Yes.
And just because you can run the whole company
Yeah.
doesn't mean you always have to.
Yeah.
So I think it's really I appreciate you so much for being willing to share your story and what it's like for you, because so many people think only I have this problem, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And or there's no way that I can let go of my big corporate job that makes me my money and has empowered all these people to do these things, even though I am exhausted from it.
That's right.
Right. And so we model the courage for each other to hear this more authentic voice. It's why, like I say, don't stop. For a lot of people, it's stop hiding your spiritual gifts. For you, it's not stop hiding them, it's let them shine more.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, do you want to do like a little experiential thing of some sort with us just from your spiritual creative gifts? Have an
Absolutely.
idea? Want
Yeah,
to do something?
absolutely.
Okay.
I
What do
want
you
to
want to do?
share with you, you know, the most sacred technology, which is like the root system of what I carry within my lineage. So it's called the Stardust Lineage Meditation. And part of what happens is it, like your work, right? Like opens us to receive the information. So it's just a very simple little connection I'll guide us through, and you can try it again on your own. And it allows you to have more direct access to your imagination or your soul communication or however you want to think of it. And it's really orienting ourselves and our bodies inside the fabric of creation. So
Mm. Okay. Ooh, okay.
yeah. So you can just allow yourself to be breathed and moving into zero effort, just presence. As you see yourself as a body of stardust and water. The stardust in your blood is the iron from ancient, over 13 billion year old exploding stars. Come into the acknowledgement of the stardust. Your body of water. There's one water that is ancient water, and the water in your body has been in oceans and streams and rivers. So just connect with that body of water enclosed within your skin, a vessel of water and stardust with ancient ingredients. See yourself as this body of water and stardust. As you feel your feet planted firmly on the ground, receiving support from earth, the healing frequency of earth, earth energy moving up through your body, from your feet to your legs, to your knees, to your hips, to your tummy, to your torso, to your chest and heart and shoulders and neck and head and top of head, healing earth energy pouring up. And then imagine stardust, intelligence pouring down from the cosmos, mixing with the earth energy, coming down through the top of your head and your face and your neck and the front and back of your heart, your shoulders, your rib cage and solar plexus and gut, your whole pelvic region, your hips and thighs and knees and ankles and feet, and your hands twinkling at the edges, allowing yourself to receive this fabric of earth and star, acknowledging that you are earth, star, and water. Right in this moment, seeing yourself as a part of the fabric of all of creation, ancient coded memories stirring from beyond this time and place, activating you into flow state, increasing the capacity for your brain to move from beta to alpha to theta into the imaginal realm. And from this place to ask yourself a question. What is it that I need to know right in this moment? And just listen. What do I need to know in this moment? And then allowing a big, beautiful breath. At another time, continuing as long as you like to listen. And then trusting the wisdom as we come back, gently fluttering our eyes and just becoming aware of what was spoken. And if you didn't hear something or something wasn't spoken, revisit that place. And that's usually just about continued listening.
Mm.
Because you can't get it wrong, but it does create a field condition of listening. Allows you to allow there to be access to the subconscious instead of the subconscious being a hidden room. It's more like a flickering veil that information can travel to you from, because your brain and your body are held in context and your brain waves are flowing so that you can think and see clearly in the imaginal realm.
Mm. That was beautiful. And what you said about your water and stardust, I love that so much. And I often think I'm Jewish and I teach a lot of Jewish mystical teachings. And in the very beginning of the biblical creation, it says that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And then it says the Spirit of God hovered over the water.
Yes, over
It
the water.
never says water was created.
Yeah,
All there was water, right?
yes.
And I just feel that connection that reminding ourselves that like it made me feel like that the words I got then was what she says is true. Like that you are this ancient water and stardust. And I don't know, that's just such a beautiful way to say it, and it made me feel it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty remarkable. Really, your blood is red from the iron of exploding stars. That is truth. These are not spiritual concepts. I mean, we can spiritualize them because the truth feels spiritual when it's real. You're like,
Right.
wow, I'm in awe that the water in my body once was part of the salty ocean, and that, no energy is lost or created. It's all an exchange of energy. So we say this is our equation in our community. Stardust approximately equals energy equals matter at the speed of light equals energy plus love approximately equals stardust.
Oh my goodness. It's so I love it so much because we are being asked to remember these truths. Like they're so ancient, and we've come through a time that just for whatever reason shut it down a lot. And but we're getting it back. I meant to ask you, when you say you have this lineage like into the 30s and longer ago, like what is that exactly?
Yeah, well, I've come to call it the Stardust lineage really recently. That's part of the new story, right? But I have been trained by two generations. My mother, Karen McLeod, and her mother before her, Eden McLeod, they passed specific teachings to me. And then I have another mother, Sue, and Sue received her teachings from an artist who worked with Eleanor Roosevelt, and her name was Lenore Thomas Strauss. And so these two generations passed the wisdom to me very specifically in image and language. And then I passed those to tens of thousands of people. So it feels like honoring the progression of the information. And it is very specific and unique what it means and how it works. But it's also universal and should be true in any situation or for any, I do the work mostly with women, but I'm like, this could work for a 9-year-old boy. This could work for an elder. This could work in a high school. This could work in a college. This could work at a hospital or a prison. Like when the wisdom is really solidly grounded, it should be able to work anywhere with some adjustments in language.
Right, right. Because it's true.
Yeah.
Like I often say, there are things now that are not real,
Yeah.
they're true, and there's a difference.
Yeah.
Right? Because we imagine things. So, because science has tried to grab us to say there's only such a thing as real, but it misses
Yeah.
an entire dimension of truth. And so we're being able, like, summits are great because we're able to find each other. And what you're up to, like, we're finding each other more and more. And that it feels like the feeling I had when you said about this lineage being passed down to you by the mothers, and then you reached out to 10,000 people, and now it feels like it's coming back to you to be the teacher of you, like you being not the mother to 10,000, but you the vessel of the um person. I don't know, something about the personal story and the personal lineage. Like there's something about that that's extremely powerful. So I can feel this like the expansion and the reshaping of the expansion into like focus. Like,
Yeah. And I'm wondering how to be both. I'm wondering how to, really do my own work, but my own work is really in devotion to other people. So it's like this really interesting balance. But how it's the delivery of the work and the stewardship of the work and the financing of the work that pulls it away.
right. So that's where you pass it on to the next
Yeah.
generation.
That we'll see how that works, right?
I
Working
know,
on
right?
it.
But that's what you asked. That's what we ask is what is being asked of me. Like that's just what was so beautiful. Like, what do you want me to know right now? So that's what you're doing, and that's what we're reminding each other of to
Yeah.
ask these questions in this more expanded way.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And we get different answers. And then we're
Yeah.
learning to support each other to trust these other ways of knowing. Right. So that's why, even though you've done something for so long, you still have turning point moments when something new is being asked of you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your free gift so people can kind of get a picture of how they can get more into the experience of your work.
Did I already tell you what I'm going to give you?
Yes, I'll tell you what it is.
Tell us what it is.
I will tell you it is the Attunement Temple,
Okay.
Manifestation and Revelation for your 2026.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is just an
Stardust Lineage Mystery School. That's what it says.
we are, it's just, similar to what we did, only more, right? Where we're attuning to our highest soul self in order to receive the access to the information and with an emphasis on what it is that we're manifesting or creating.
Yeah. So it's really going to allow you to be led into this expanded realm that Shiloh is the curator of. And I love that you use the word curating. It's a wonderful way to talk
Thank
about
you.
what we're up to.
Yes.
Um, and that sense of having more choice over it, I think is really significant. All right, so leave us with the last few words of inspiration as we wrap up.
Hmm. I just want to share with you all what you already know. So I'm really affirming that there's the story that's been happening to you, the inherited story, the default story of family and culture, and that there can be as many turning points as you need to make a decision to become the author of that story. We call that transforming your life into a legend. A legend allows for there to be really gorgeous, badass things and also a lot of really messy, heartbreaking things. A legend is not a fairy tale. It's a place where you get to integrate everything that has happened and then make a decision to be sovereign, authoring a future that is not just inherited, but one that you actually get to co create by conscious choice. So, wherever you are, whatever you're navigating, just holding love with you that you're able to transition to the next place on the path that's right for the evolution of your personal story.
So right up my alley. Really beautiful.
Yeah.
So get get the free gift. Go into that world and do that work to get still enough and ask and see where it leads you. Because this is really what my vision is for us all to feel this ability to support each other, to expand into these new stories the way that Shiloh's describing. Like we have this opportunity to help each other do this in surprising ways, I think. So, Shiloh, thank you so much for who you are, what you bring out in the world, sharing your story. And as I always say in farewell, everybody, remember, take it all in so that you can go out in the world and share your story and live your purpose and be a blessing. Bye, folks.